So we're resuming from the first part, which is linked below. The part 2 will be building the extruder, building the Y, building the bed. So extruder, bed, and then wiring, and then the first print. We'll do that together all the way up to the first print. Okay, so we're resuming from the first part. We're actually resuming at step 1 of part 5, and we're going to build the Nextruder. Alright, so that finishes the this part, and I'm not completely sure how it works yet. The only thing I would say, my first modification of the printer is going to reprint this part. I think I want to print it in translucent resin, maybe even transparent resin, because I would like to see the gears. As the printer extrudes, in my opinion, it's very important to be able to see whether or not the motor of the extruder turns, because it indicates whether or not the printer is pushing filament on the print bed. And so it used to be that the motor, the axis of the motor was in front, and you could actually see it. You could see it turn. In fact, what you could do is you could put a magnet with an arrow or something like that, and it would indicate if it's actually extruding. And it's not just extruding, but in fact, every time you move from one position to another on an object, it actually retracts the filament. If it doesn't retract the filament enough, you get what's called stringing. And so this design is cute. I'm super happy to see original Prusa MK4. It's really neat, but I think I want to replace this with basically a glass door. I would like to see what's going on inside. So not good. To be improved. Okay, so depending on the frequency of the belt, of course I'm talking, so in fact the frequency is changing all the time, but I was getting 98, 97, 96, so my belt is too tight according to the belt tensioner. Entire back in order to free up one tooth on that belt. Now the belt is so loose, it's not funny. So we're going to unscrew the motor. We're going to increase the tension on the back screw over there. $101 way too tight. Let's start part 6, which is the installation of the LCD screen, which is used to control the printer. So I took it apart because I had a regret. There's a plastic sleeve on the screen, and I removed it because I'm not sure that the touch screen is going to work with the plastic sleeve. I had intended to leave it to protect the screen, which I do on a lot of touch screen. I generally have, be it my laptop, my desktop, my cell phone, I always have a protective screen, but I have a reason that it might not go through the signal, so I'm restarting. Okay, so at this point I need to explain something. Exactly like the power supply, the screen is going to be not connected to the frame in my installation, and the reason is because I'm going to enclose this part. So I don't want to take the risk of having the screen overheat. So I don't want to attach it in the front because I'm gonna have the doors of the enclosure coming here, and that way I can actually take the printer and move it a bit further closer to the doors of the enclosure. So you have to think about my printer being in a plastic box, basically a plastic transparent plexiglass box. Okay, so this is what it looks like. The red wires, which are positive, are going to the V plus and V plus, and the two black, which are ground, are going V minus, V minus. That's to detect if the power supply loses power. That's their panic, what they call the panic mode. So it detects loss of power in the middle of print. And this is the ground, so ground wire. Okay, and I'm gonna connect all of these to the main board over there. So I'm probably going to need some rest, some food, something like this, because this is not gonna work out for me. I can leave it on its side for the time being. Maybe that might work like that. So with part 6 completed, meaning all the wiring nearly done and all the LCD assembly completed, we can now turn to actually the main thing, which is the heat bed. So we're going to build the heat bed and the y-axis. It used to be that it was one of the first steps in the old instructions on the MK3, and I probably figured out that it's much easier to finish with the print bed than to have to do all the cable routing while it's still in the middle of construction. So it's actually a huge improvement on the instructions to complete the printer. Really great. Okay, I should stop here. This is a heat bed, so it's basically a giant resistor. But despite the fact it's a giant resistor, it has actually polarity, and I suspect the polarity is just for the LEDs, indicative LEDs. But you should put the black wire. You should put the black wire on the ground of that heat bed, and the red wire is going to go on the VCC. And I don't think it's important for anything except the LEDs, but the LEDs won't work otherwise. The total wattage of my two MK3 printers is actually about 300 watts each when they're actually using the heat bed. So the heat bed is actually consuming a lot of electricity. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because if you have a 10-hour print, you're likely to use about 3 kilowatts. I don't know what your country is, but we pay 10 cents per kilowatts here. So you have to account for this if you are actually ever selling parts. Otherwise, you're gonna make a loss. The printer costs are the cost of filament, but also the cost of electricity. Both of them are very low per part, but the electricity is non-negligible as a total share. The filament is now 100%. That was a lot of effort to put 3 nuts into this tiny plate. Alright, so my filament, so this guy here, protrudes about 1.5 millimeters maybe from the bottom, a bit less than the screw actually. And I haven't tightened anything. I'm making sure that the wires are not pinched. Alright, so now we need to manage to put one filament, 4 wires, and a sleeve into 5 millimeter worth of space without pinching anything. Alright, so we have two holes on this side and one hole on this side. Alright, so the one thing we haven't done at this point is tighten the 6 screws around the bearings. And I do that at the end. I saw that there was a lot of prompts according to users in the instruction manual, in the comments, and I kind of agree with some of the users. I don't think we should tighten the screws until we've actually installed the two rods in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the printer and I'm going to tighten the 6 screws of the bearings, of the bearing clips, and I'm going to tighten them until the carrier stops moving. And when it stops moving, I'm going to back out a tiny bit and in order to keep them as tight as possible, but with movement as good as possible. So I think this should come, that step that I've not done should come now. It should come after the installation of the two rods. Okay, so I had a ton of lube at the end of all the rods. So what I did is I removed the excess lube that I had. And I didn't put a lot, so the instructions are correct in that respect. Don't put too much lube. Okay, so if it's not going this way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it from the other side. One of the screws fell into the aluminum profile. Great. That could be like 20 years worth of vibrations not coming out. Alright, perfect. It's never going to go. There's a tiny piece of plastic. Okay, so I'm at 105. Well, not any longer because I'm talking, but so I was at 105. Okay, so the last step, I realigned the pulley. It's one of the steps. I'm not sure it was useful. It was not out of whack, but anyway. With the installation of the print bed as well as with the final cabling, this concludes the assembly of the Prusa MK4 printer. It went fairly smoothly. Nothing is too complicated. The instructions are very detailed, and for each step of the instruction there are comments by the users who have actually done through the same exercise, and so every time you get in trouble you can actually go and look at what people actually said about the pictures, about the instructions, and that should get you out of trouble. And now we need to go and try this printer, and I'm going to do this in the third video. Thank you very much for watching.